A full
Charlie,
audience
sit
in
down.
here.
Sit down. Good boy. We got some.
Okay, so we thought we'd start with just sharing the whole experience with you. When we started, we just thought we're gonna have some fun. Hi. We're gonna have some guests come and go throughout this. We thought we'd start with sharing the experience uh, because that's what when we started it, it was really it just sounded neat. We hadn't heard of black walnut syrup before, and we thought sounds like fun. Let's try it. Entire experience. What do you think? Like start to finish, was it worth it?
Yeah, I think it's worth it. It's the time of year that this is done is like an off time for us. So just seemed like it gave us something to do.
Was it fun?
It was fun. I think it was challenging. Mother Nature gave us the challenge to try to figure out when to drill. A week we didn't get anything because it was too cold, not hot enough during the day, blah, blah, blah. But yeah,
Yeah. So just to sum that up, we may not be done. There may be people who know what they're doing are probably still getting syrup or still have their taps in. We took them out because it got almost 70 degrees, literally flip flops and shorts type of weather just a week ago. Today it's sub zero.
Hat, gloves, scarf.
Yeah,
We had thunderstorms the night before, and then the next day we had snow. So
it's
Ohio.
exactly it's Ohio weather. So we probably could have kept going, but our goal was never to let's jump right in this and get everything we can get and try to max. It was let's do it, let's learn, let's see if it's even worth doing next year. And like Misha, I agree. I actually had fun with it.
Nick and the dogs did the most of it, so
Yeah,
because they
me and
got to
my
go
buddies.
for a ride.
Hi.
But yeah, I think it's well worth doing again.
Yeah. So we of sap just to tell you how it ended up. So this one's a little skewed because we've already started eating from it. And
We gave
well,
samples.
before we talk about the textbook and what we learned didn't learn, what did you think of the flavor?
it it's sweet. It's different, but it's good. It's really good on. We had it on our waffles, so yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay.
and she's the critic. She doesn't like the
Mm-mm.
really sweet stuff.
Yeah.
But everything we had seen and heard and read and other videos, everyone was like, "Oh, I like it better than maple syrup." I think I do like it better than maple syrup because it's different. It has that.
What is that?
It's almost don't take this too. It has a black. It has that inky taste,
Inky.
but it's just a hint of it. It's just, and it actually adds to the flavoring. I think, but that's my own opinion.
It's enough to that you realize there's a slight difference in this.
Yeah,
But of course, there's
yeah.
going to be a slight difference. It's a whole different tree. So
But I'll tell you this though, throughout the process until the very last step, and you'll see that as you go into the details and watch follow up videos. But until those final steps, Michelle was done tasting. She went to bed that night and she was like, I don't need any more.
Nick was still cooking.
Yeah, it wasn't that it was bad. Just simply, it wasn't as good as after that final filtering.
Huge difference.
Yeah, that next morning when I was like, you got to try this, you got to try this, and I could see it. She was like,
Just a little.
but but as soon as she tried it, she was,
Oh, good golly!
Yeah.
That filter was like a whole new ballpark for the flavor of that.
So about 15 years ago, backstory. 15 years ago, we had a waffle maker. And this just tells you how good it is. We had a waffle maker, but we had all kinds of stuff. And we don't have that big of a kitchen. So when it come time to get rid of things, we gave it to one of our sons.
They took it to college. So, yeah.
Immediately after she tried that, even though we now have even more things in the kitchen than we've ever had, no space, she didn't complain at all when I said, I need to get a waffle maker.
Yep.
And we've already had waffles. I'll add a picture. So anyway, so that's a little bit about flavor and the experience. We never went out and it was so cold that like, oh, I don't want to be out here.
You don't go out early in the morning anyways. So
Yeah.
we went out probably the warmest time of the day.
In fact, if it is that cold, you're not getting syrup anyway.
Yeah, it stops.
That was, okay, lessons learned. So going back through all the things we did, all the steps. The first one, we would go out and we'd have a little bit of sap, or it looked like, okay, it's starting to produce some sap. And we couldn't figure it out for ourselves. Like, why are we getting sap some days, not other days? We thought it could be that the holes weren't drilled deep enough. Mechele immediately was like, I think it might have to do with the weather. It's the weather. The weather's everything. Like,
I was right, because
ching.
there was only one tree that did not run sap when we tapped it. So if you tap a tree and it starts running sap, you've done it right. Just put your hose up there, put your bucket, or however you want to do it, and you're going to be successful in some way, shape, or form with getting sap. But of course, the other video, Nick thought, he needed to be one up on me, and of course, that was the stupidest thing ever. But anyways, actually, I think he plugged a tree, because when he took the tap out, that last tree, all the sap ran out. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I don't know what that was about.
So he screwed that tree up too.
It's always my fault.
Yep. But yeah, it's all Mother Nature. It's all, but I don't think you can tap too soon. You just have to be patient and let it happen. Which in Ohio, I think it's best to tap a little bit earlier, because you just don't know what she's going to do here. So, and we only had 9 trees that we tapped, and this is good. And in our eyes, this is good.
Yeah, and we most likely, again, we don't know what we're doing, but we did learn a lot this year. Most likely, we could have left them tapped, but we were done. We had enough sap that we knew we'd get about a quart of, not new, we suspected we would get about a quart of syrup, and we could taste it from there. The other thing too is, it was really nice this year. I only collected enough sap that I could put into the condensing kettle. Like, it fit perfectly. It holds up to 20 gallons. We had roughly somewhere between 15 and 20 gallons, somewhere in there. So one shot, I was done. That wasn't even that bad. We set up some cinder blocks. You'll see those in the videos as well.
What was it? About 8 hours?
Yeah, but I got started late that morning.
It still would have been 8 hours no matter what. So it doesn't matter what time you started.
Yeah. Back to the lessons learned though, and doing it all over. Right from the start, one of the first things we did was making the buckets, and we decided on how we were going to collect it. I've watched videos of people doing it in milk jugs. If you're just trying it, a milk jug will work. Anything will work. We did them in sealed buckets. The reason, my thinking process was, sealed buckets, we would keep out more of that dirt, debris, etc. And for the most part, I think it did. It was relatively clean when I filtered it. You still had ants, you still had a couple twigs here and there, but it wasn't bad. Not compared to the stuff I've seen in other YouTube videos. Here's the trade-off. Mechele immediately was like, this is a pain in the ass to take the lids.
The lids were, but on that property, there's a lot of animals. So my thought process with the buckets was a little bit different than Nick's. I'm just like, I don't want any animals getting in there, like knocking it over easily and then just slurping up what we have. which we didn't have that problem.
No.
And then it's windy out there also, so we just put some rocks on them, which I'm sure you guys see in the other videos. But yeah, lids were a pain.
Yeah.
Pain.
The choice of the spires going stainless steel, no, I loved them. They worked fine. No problems there whatsoever.
Oh, even getting them out, Nick was just like, well.
Yep. Tubing worked fine. If you are going sealed buckets, that entire video that will attach to this, those are simple to put together. The little holes for the vent holes. At one point, we even thought it could be that we had it so sealed that there wasn't enough air escaping. That wasn't the case. It was purely weather. But really, lessons learned, I think putting the rocks on it, just know up front that if you go with the sealed buckets like we did, it can be a pain popping all those on and off. And we only did 9 trees. If you do, I've seen people doing 40, 50, whatever on YouTube. Your fingers are going to get sore before the end of the day.
Well, and another thing is being our first time, for me anyways, being our first time doing it, I was just being nosy. Like, yeah, they're white buckets and you can see a little line, but some days it was so cloudy you really couldn't make out, and you could swoosh it around, and I'm like, it's probably like a half a cup. It was like, what was that line? You're like, that's a gallon.
Half gallon.
That's a half gallon. I'm like, oh my. So you kind of get excited, but then we got to the point where we weren't going to lift the lids off until we had more in there that we could actually feel the weight to. So we got the buckets. They're ready. They're prepped. We're going to keep using them. Now, if we do more trees, because we do have more trees out there, maybe we might try something different just to see.
Every year I want to try something different. How do we get better at it, etc.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's whether you go sealed, unsealed, with your buckets, whether you go with gallon jugs, anything that's going to collect it. Gallon jugs, I think you'd have to worry about the wind or animals or anything just knocking it over. The buckets was nice because, like she said, we put rocks on those. Those held them in place perfectly. You could probably bungee them to the tree or strap them. We had thought about that. We bought buckets to collect the sap into, and I bought lids. This is through the lessons learned. The screw-on lids, but getting those on the buckets, well, probably would have helped if I would have read the instructions first.
I'm glad you said that, because you knew that was going to come out of my mouth.
I did. So, yeah, we just thought we'd snap them right on there. Oh my God. We had to, it took a mallet. Anyway, to unscrew the actual lid from the ring. You snap the ring on it, then you screw the lid on. And even doing that, it's a tight seal itself.
Just assemble it the day before you're going to use it, not like when you're going to use it.
Yep.
Because, that's how we operate around here.
Collecting them, lessons learned. It pretty cut and dry. You pop the lid off, pour them in another bucket.
Well, you and Drake didn't take enough buckets.
Yeah, let's go to that one since we've been picking on Nick this long. So on the final day, which had a couple really good days where it was freezing at night and above freezing during the day, I suspected we should have some good sap. And I told Michelle, me and my youngest son, we're going to go out there and collect the sap. And I said, how many buckets do you think? Just one. You don't need more than one bucket. I'm like, I'm thinking like 3 or 4.
But Nick was thinking 3 or 4 the very first time too.
Yes,
so
that's true.
Okay.
So anyway, we get out there and we filled 2 buckets fully. I mean, all the way up. So actually it was like 2.5. Whatever.
No,
was it 2?
you only took 2 because I said 1 and you're like, okay, we'll take 2.
Yeah, and we
had to go back out the next day and get the rest.
Yeah. You'd never know how much. Well, we didn't know how much you would get from day to day. I'm sure someone knows what they're doing, knows the weather, knows their trees. They'll know exactly what to expect. and we will in future years. So we had them all collected. Another lesson learned. If you think about 15 to 20 gallons of sap, and you want to store that for more than 3 days, because everything we had heard is you have to freeze it if you're not going to use it within 3 days. We actually went a little longer than that without actually boiling it down. I don't think it hurt us, but we did keep it in a very cool spot when we did that. But think about putting 15 to 20 milk jugs in a fridge, a freezer, wherever. That's a lot of space that we didn't have. So it's another reason we were done. But lessons learned, if we were to tap even more trees and we couldn't go out and condense it within those 3 days, we would definitely need a chest freezer or something else to be able to store these and freeze them. Filtering. And this kind of ties back into whether or not you go sealed or unsealed. When I filtered these, that very first filtering process, and I think I used a 100 or a 200 micron filter screen. I bought the kind that just go right into a 5-gallon bucket. It made it so easy. I love that. They're reusable. And I'll add all the parts and part numbers and where we got them. I'll add all those to the description. But to the sealed buckets, the idea I was thinking, keeping debris, dirt, all that out of it, it did. You still have to filter them. So that has me wondering, is there really much of a benefit when you got to pop those lids off of 9, 10, however many trees you got every time you go and collect it? You're going to filter it anyway. And the filters work great. So to the lessons learned, that kind of plays into the thought process next year. And like she said, we may try some with sealed buckets, some without. Filtering, I highly recommend getting the filters that drop into the 5-gallon buckets. Doing it again, I think I would have set up my kiln, my fire, and made sure everything was set up the day before. I did it the morning of and didn't give it too much thought other than I'm going to get up, set this up, and I'm going to start. By the time I got out there, got started, I wasted a good 2 to 3 hours of that day just setting it up. I was in no hurry. It wasn't a big deal, but still, it's 2 to 3 hours of work getting it set up. Keeping it going about every half hour. It was a nice setup. We just threw in some wood, kept it going. Once it got bubbling, it stayed like that the rest of the day. I would say there was about 6 hours for our condenser and for, we'll call it 16 gallons. It took about 6 hours to condense it down to where it was really close to where we could bring it inside. It was still pretty fluid at that time. Now it's a lot thicker, but it was still pretty fluid, but you could definitely tell it was syrup and it had the color. It had that dark color. So I wanted to use my refractometer, which I have. We also have a vineyard. And I use it for my grapes to tell when they're ready to harvest or not. And you're looking for Brix of 20 to 24, somewhere in there. Not all refractometers have the same scale. So the refractometer I learned that day, doesn't read high enough for syrup. I think you want in those 60s up to 70. If you've got one 60 to 80, you're great. I pulled out my refractometer, put some syrup on there, held it up to the light, and it had maxed out. It stopped at 30 or 40 or something like that. So it was useless to me. So I had to go by temperature. And I was skeptical of that. As an engineer, I was just very skeptical of doing it per the temperature. When I had it outside, or I got it up to 212, 213 degrees before I brought it in. And in that last 10 minutes, it had really boiled down to where 1 inch or ½ inch, and it had definitely turned colors. I come inside less than 5 minutes to measure it, check it, do some other things, right back out. And because I didn't have it perfectly level in the top corner where it had boiled down even further, it actually burnt onto the bottom of the pan. So that was an immediate get it off the fire, you're there. So lesson learned, have a good way of measuring it. When you're in those final stages, it goes quick. 5 minutes is nothing. Another lesson learned, Mechele told me afterwards, when I first put all this together, got the fire going, lessons learned, cover it before you start it, or don't put it on there until after you've got the wood going. We were in some extremely high winds too, that didn't help. When the wind blew, all that ash went up and immediately into the vessel. So I had that floating on top of the, but I knew we'd filter it out. Wasn't that big of a deal.
But you got to do it when you can do it.
Yeah. And I know we're jumping around, but this is all, I mean, we're just trying to remember all the things. Those are usually the most important ones, are the ones that you do remember. So that's what we wanted to share with you.
And it's very important when you're outside cooking it down, cook it down as far as you possibly can before you bring it in. Like Nick said, I had already went to bed. So when I got up the next morning, I always know what Nick has done in the kitchen. But we have our microwave is above our stove where he was finishing off this. This leaves a sticky residue on anything.
Did it?
It sure did.
Oh,
He doesn't, he's kind of oblivious to clean up anyway. So it
well,
would be
nice thing is, we have a magic kitchen, magic appliances, where I didn't realize it's not that big of a deal because it's not sticky now. It just disappears.
Yeah. It's because I'm a good wife.
Sure.
Like that.
Sure.
But yeah, that would be my.
Okay. And I didn't have to boil it down much. By the time I brought it inside and got it up to a boil, 5 minutes maybe, got it up to a boil. It was at the 212, 213 temperature. It took me less than a half hour to get it to 218. And at 218, I was done. The only thing I did after that, I let it cool slightly just so it didn't burn everything. And then put it through a 10 micron. Again, I'll put it in the description. But I put it through it, same type of filter, but just a tighter mesh. I want to say it was like 10 micron. I put it through that filter. Oh my Lord, that was the difference. That was, and the filter I showed Mechele the next morning. It's not like it pulled out all this huge amounts of debris. It was just this very fine debris that was giving it that extra flavor that we didn't really care for. And it looked like probably some of the ash, some of the other things. But once it got that out, we were fine. Jar wise, mason jars worked fine. You had a different idea after I did this that was a really good idea. Do you remember what it was?
I just said jelly jars because they're smaller.
Yeah.
But just because we were sharing it, we had company over this weekend, so we were just trying to. Nick was giving them samples of it.
Yeah, everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. Yeah. It's definitely worth doing. We'll do another video next year when we do it again. And hopefully next year it'll be less of, here's the experience, this is what we're learning, this is what we learned. Next year it'll be, this is how you do it. We'll share with you what we did, how we did it, and it worked. But we thought we'd start off with the lessons learned. Having said that, it was not that bad. It was not bad. It was worth this right here. And we actually got 2 of them. So it might last us a month, maybe 2. So that if you're watching this and you're going to try it yourself, it's worth doing. And you won't have some of the headaches we had. So anyway, now that we rambled on long enough, I'll go straight into the videos, share those step by step, how we did it, what we did, all the tools you'll need. other than that, I hope this makes you want to try it, because you have to try it once. We have neighbors, and I say neighbors, within Champaign County, have their own YouTube channel. Just lovely young couple. They tried maple syrup, and it was funny because at the end of theirs, we're not doing it again. That's what they had to say.
They had different reasons, though.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And we haven't tried it in Michelle's lattes yet.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to do a YouTube short on just that in itself. Those are amazing. Everyone's going to be different. Our kids are grown and out of the house. This gives us something to do. 20, 30 years ago, with kids, I don't know that we'd have done it. This was just, I don't know, it was like a craft, putting something together. But
it's an adventure, and that's what we live for.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Good and bad. We try to make the most of both. So, thanks, everybody.
Peace out.